This is video number 36, and this is for violin and viola players. In this video, we're going to learn how to actually hold the bow, as well as do the bow exercises you learned with using the bow, okay? So, carefully take your bow out of the case without touching the horsehair. Grab it somewhere near the frog by the stick or close to the frog. And remember, the first thing we need to do with our bow is check and make sure you remember to loosen it. Okay, if you forgot to loosen it, shame on you. Make sure you loosen it. Okay, and then from the good loose position, tighten your bow. Probably, if you remember how many turns it was, go with that. 5 to 10, 1. This bow is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This particular bow is 8. It's going to be around there, somewhere from 5 to 10. Now, we've still got the good curve. We've got about a pencil width in between, in the middle here. Okay? Now, yes, your bow is going to be held with your right hand. Of course it is. But for now, very carefully, very, very carefully, I want you to grab it in the middle by the stick with your left hand, and I say very carefully because look how weird I'm holding it. I don't want to touch the horsehair. Very important that you don't touch the horsehair. Now, whichever method you used, I think at this point it's going to be a little bit the method you used to do your bow hold. At this point, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay. Now, at this point, you should be pretty comfortable with what your bow hold is supposed to look like. What I want you to do is open up in your book now to page number 16. Now, on page number 16, there's only one picture I really want you looking at there. The very first one, that's called the early bow hold, we're not doing that. The reason we're not doing that is we used the stick instead, okay? I used to try that, and then I had some kids that could never break that habit of holding it up in the wrong place. We are going to do the regular bow hold because you should be ready for that by now. The main picture I really want you looking at, because they don't really do a very good picture of the regular bow hold. It's so far away you can't even see it. But the main thing I want you looking at is that picture on the right where it says thumb placement, and it has this kind of orangish colored dot. That thumb is going to go right here, right where the stick meets the frog, and it's going to end up being angled a little bit that way. Whether you realized it or not, when we did your bow hold, your thumb was angled a little bit that way, okay? And if your thumb touches the horsehair a little bit right here, not really that big of a deal, okay? Because you're not going to use that last, centimeter of bow right there, okay? Thumb is going to go right there. So I actually want to start with the thumb. So bend your thumb, because thumb is bent, and put it in that little nook right there, okay? Now, take your third finger and put it over this dot that you see. See that dot? If you don't have a dot, you can get some little sticker and put it right in the center of the frog to help you out with that. That would not be a bad idea at all. So thumb, third finger. Now, when I place that down, I want to make sure that I'm touching, remember that joint that was touching the stick and that was touching the straw? The middle joint is what touches. Now I'm just going to lay the others down and pinky is on the tip. That's all I'm going to do, because at this point, I know the bow shape. If we started off with the bow, this would not go well for you. But at this point, you know what the bow shape is like. Now these fingers just kind of drape over. Don't feel like you have to actually grip over here. When I say put your third finger on the dot, put it in line with the dot. You don't need to come around here, because it's going to rest right there. And then some of your fingers, again, different size hands, they might touch the frog there a little bit. They might just barely touch it, but don't plaster your third finger to the frog there. That's just in line with that. See how I'm coming from? When I came from the front, I covered it up, right? But look, when I'm coming from the side, look at that. I'm not actually covering it up. And then, when you think you're ready, try to let go. Okay, so you have the same shape. You can see through. Thumb is bent right here. Fingers are touching on the middle joint. First finger's kind of on its side. Don't forget that. If yours looks weird like this, it's because your first finger, you're not remembering to pronate, to turn a little bit that way. Middle finger, touching on the middle joint, touching on the middle joint, touching on the tip. Okay, now let's try a couple of bow exercises. Now this might be a little heavy for you. If it is, I still want you to try it here at the end. I don't want you to go back and do the early bow hold. What I would suggest that you do, if you really have, it's a disaster when you're trying to do these bow exercises, I would suggest you just practice holding it for a day or two. Shake it out, then just practice holding it. Okay? And remember, we're going to do thumb, then put your third finger down in line, and then the others down. Okay? So let's try some waves up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, right now, some of you might be slip sliding and your bow's falling on the ground. Just carefully pick it up. Shake it out. Get a good bow hold again. Now try the other way. 1, 2. This is a lot harder, isn't it? 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, pause the video. Practice that back and forth over and over, up and down, side to side. Remember, we're trying to get that flexibility here. Now, let's go to the next one. I want you just to tap first finger, then tap pinky, go back and forth. Transfer the weight between first finger and pinky. Okay? Check your bow hold. Thumb is bent, there's a nice hole. Fingers are curved. Thumb is bent. See the hole? First finger's on the side there. Okay, check yourself. Okay. Finish your sets of these. Pause the video, finish your sets of these. And I'll do some windshield wipers. This is where you really got to make sure you're not going to hit something. Okay, flip it over. Look at your thumb. Look at your pinky. Flip it back. 1. Flip it over. 2. 3. 4. If your hand is hurting and you're getting a bad bow hold, stop right now. Shake it out. Do as many as you can. 5. 6. Up to 10. 7. 8. 9. 10. Now let's say things started going bad on your windshield wipers when you hit like the 4th one. Then I want you, rather than doing 4 sets of 10, I want you just doing 4 sets of 4. And then tomorrow, do 4 sets of 5. And then the next day, 4 sets of 10. You have to build the muscles. You have to get the strength. You've got to keep the flexibility. That's what we're doing. That's what we've got to make sure we do. Until we can do these bow exercises with a good bow hold, we can't start doing bowing yet, because then that's just adding a whole nother level of problems. This needs to be second nature for you. So if you haven't been practicing your bow exercises, you're behind, and it's going to be a problem for you. It's not something that you can do just overnight. It's not like learning to read notes. If you just cram and study, you can eventually just memorize it. It's a muscle memory thing. It's a building strength in your fingers, and it takes time. You have to do it day after day after day after day. Every single day you have to do your bow exercises, or you will not build that strength. And once it's there, you got muscle memory strength, you're going to be good to go. You'll be able to play anything. So keep working on that.